Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's decision to appoint Unifor on his panel to determine eligibility for a $500 million media bailout package has destroyed this process's credibility. Unifor is a highly partisan group with very aggressive and partisan goals. They have made it clear that their objective is to help Liberals win the next election. And yet the Prime Minister has decided to appoint this group to the panel. Will the Prime Minister just openly admit that he's stacking the deck in his favor?
Honourable Minister of Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are playing a very dangerous game. Here we know that the newspaper industry has been suffering for 10 years. We know that 41 dailies have closed their door. We know that they've lost about 10,000 jobs, Mr. Speaker. Now the Conservatives think that our journalists can be bought, Mr. Speaker. We totally disagree with that. We trust professional journalism and we're there to support them.
Order. I had no trouble hearing the question. I shouldn't have any more trouble hearing the answer. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
None of the challenges facing the news industry justifies putting an openly partisan group on the panel to determine who gets funding. Unifor has published tweets calling itself the resistance to Conservatives. It's bankrolling partisan attack ads put out by third-party groups run by high-level Liberal operatives. Journalists who are actual members of this union agree that the government's actions has destroyed the credibility of this process and threatens to undermine the independence of the press. Will the Prime Minister remove Unifor from this panel?
The Honourable Minister of Canadian Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, again, this is a dangerous game. The Conservatives are saying that the journalists can be bought in our country, and we strongly disagree with that, Mr. Speaker. Our journalism is one of the pillars of our democracy, Mr. Speaker. We should be there to support them instead of attacking them like the Conservatives are doing.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The only dangerous game being played is by this Prime Minister putting partisan groups on a panel to hand out government money. That is what undermines the credibility of this process and threatens the independence of the media. Now, this isn't the first time that the Prime Minister has abused the power of his office. He's limited the amounts political parties can spend in the run-up to a federal election, while no limits have been placed on government spending announcements or travel in advance of the RIP period. Will the Prime Minister finally admit that he is abusing the power of his office to rig the system in advance of the next election?
The Honourable Minister of Democratic Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians were fed up with their tax dollars being wasted on blatantly partisan ads by the Harper Conservatives. That's why we moved quickly in 2016 to ban partisan government ads and establish third-party oversight. We also banned government advertising in the 90 days that precede a fixed-date election and for any government program that is yet to be approved by Parliament. By focusing government advertising on Canadians' needs instead of partisan objectives, we've been able to cut the government's advertising budget by half. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.